Yo, Elliot.
So we got a stupid question from my buddy Chris here. He wants to know if he were to put on so much weight on the barbell that he couldn't lift it, for example, deadlift, but he'll go up to the bar, grab it with both hands, strain all of his muscles in his body, tense everything so much that the veins pop out of his neck and his face turns red and his eyeballs are bulging out, blood vessels bursting all over the place, but obviously can't move the bar. Will it help him get stronger, right? So you think it's kind of a stupid question, and it might seem stupid, but it's not. What you're describing is isometrics. And isometrics is for development of strength and muscle has always been used. I think Bruce Lee was a big proponent of isometrics, and it's been around just as long as, probably longer than the barbell, obviously. Longer than the barbell, because you don't need a barbell to do isometrics. You can just press against the wall. But, you know, the traditional strength training, bodybuilding parameters that we use require concentric and eccentric portions of the movement. See, isometric means that's it. Like ISO, think ice, frozen. Isometric, right? Concentric and eccentric are their movements, as opposed to freezing. So you want to know, should I include this in my program? Is this something worthwhile? Well, there are two things you need to know. First, I'm going to approach it from a bodybuilder standpoint. If you're familiar with bodybuilding, right? You might be, because you watch YouTube videos, or maybe you do it yourself. You know that posing is a big part of the sport. If you want to be a good bodybuilder, you have got to spend a lot of time just doing this. Just flexing your muscles. They flex. I mean, I watched a documentary on some bodybuilders the other day, and the guy, when he's getting closer to his contest time, he spends like an hour flexing. Now, it does a number of things. There's a neuromuscular response, right? There's a performance response associated with flexing. Obviously, the nervous system gets more, there's more endurance in its ability to turn on a lot of fibers, right? What that also does is it creates more tone in the muscle. So the muscle seems harder and denser by just flexing. I mean, you could build a pretty good looking body just flexing. In fact, there's some really old school, if you like me, I like old school bodybuilding and strength training books, like from like the 1800s. I think the website is superstrengthtraining.com. He's got all these old ass books from like guys that were bodybuilding before bodybuilding was a thing. And there are books just on iso strength, just building isometric strength, and you're building an incredibly good looking and functional body with isometrics. So that's it for aesthetics. Yes, and there is some neuromuscular crossover. Also, there's been research done on isometrics, and it's crossover, you know, it's spillover into performance strength. And there really is about a 10 to 15 degree movement carryover in the strength curve for someone who engages in isometrics. So for example, if I just strengthen right here, right? If I just do this and I'm pulling, of course I'm gonna get stronger in that position. But there's a 10% this way and a 10% that way carryover of strength. So if you are trying to increase your deadlift, doing what you just said makes a lot of sense. Tense everything and act as if you're going to pull it off the ground, maintain solid form, engage, turn all the muscular system, the inner unit and outer unit. Just turn it all on. And then move the bar up to about mid-shin, do it again. Move it up to mid-thighs, do it again. You know, they call these like rack pulls. Even if you don't move it, you know, you can set it up in a rack. And that over time should have the ability of crossing over into a full range of motion, right? You're teaching your nervous system that it's okay to tense, utilize, or how to utilize all of the muscle fiber associated with different portions of the range of motion. There's a lot to be studied with regard to isometrics. You know, I'm not religious, I'm not a zealot about any strength training parameter, any strength training philosophy. I think there's merit to all of them. And even in martial arts, if you study different forms of martial arts, my brother is really big into martial arts, and one of the forms of martial arts that he does, I don't remember the name of it, he just stays in one position and tenses all his muscles. He'll just stay like this. And I'll be like, bro, what are you doing? You're sweating your ass off. And he's like out there and he's just like, maybe I'm training. So there's a lot of benefit to it. Guess that's it. I'm done.
Yo, Elliot,